What's going down, everybody? Welcome back to Videos by Kino. And today, we gotta talk about this. Let's get into it. Alright guys, as we all know, there's been a recent spike in anti-Asian hate crime going on, and I don't know why. It's terrible to see. It feels like because of how we were all raised and stuff like that, that this stuff is becoming normal, and I feel like we need to talk about it more. Those of you who know me know I'm Filipino, and not only am I Filipino, but my mom was married to a Vietnamese man, so I was raised in a Filipino home by a Vietnamese man, and I got love for Asians, man. I grew up around them. I know how they live. I feel their pain, and when I see this type of shit online, it just hurts me. I don't look it. Most people are probably like, yo, you're Filipino? You're Asian? What do you mean? You know, I don't consider myself Asian. I consider myself a Pacific Islander, but we're considered Asians. And if you're Filipino, you know what I'm talking about. There's been so much bullshit going on, man, and I pulled a bunch of stuff up, and I don't know a lot about it, but attacks against Asian Americans are up. And it's time to pay attention. Real talk, what it says right here is true. After Dylan Adler was screamed at, chased, and sucker punched by a stranger on a New York street last year, he almost convinced himself that it was just bad luck. Nothing to do with the color of his skin. But I talked with other friends, said Adler, 24, who checked on his fellow Asian American about the attack, which happened at the very start of the global pandemic. They had other incidents too. That was the start of an alarming increase in hate attacks against Asian Americans. There were about 3,800 recorded over the past year, from slurs on the street and stabbings to vandalism at Asian American owned businesses. It went up to 150% in 2020, according to research by the Center for a Study of Hate and Extremism at California State University in San Bernardino. It went up 150%, guys. Crime against Asian Americans. How? Why? Is what I want to know. In Columbia, MD, last month, 3 businesses were vandalized and ransacked on Lunar Year, the most important holiday in the Chinese culture. The criminals ignored the Cheesecake Factory and Chipotle nearby, but hit Urban Hot Pot, Kung Fu Tea, and Bonchon. So they hit Urban Hot Pot, Kung Fu Tea, and Bonchon, but they skipped Cheesecake Factory, they skipped Chipotle. So they were investigating them as commercial burglaries, not hate crimes. The community felt differently. Of course they did, right? We're deeply saddened that during these difficult times, our community is filled with such hatred and division, wrote Alexis Chen. As an Asian American establishment, the fact that these attacks came on Lunar Year, such a celebrated time of the year for us, is heartbreaking. The attacks have been escalating all year as arguments over the pandemic were twisted into anti-Asian hatred, led by the chief flamethrower, former President Donald Trump, who joked, even as thousands of us were dying from the virus, that it was the Kung flu. And this is why I wanted to bring this up, because during this, it said that it's happened early on in the pandemic, right? I didn't know about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just catching wind of it. I mean, it's been about 2 weeks now that I started noticing it, but the fact that it started in 2020, what's up with the lack of media coverage on something so important as this? And I know, coronavirus is in its prime, like it was hitting hard at the time, but still, people's lives matter regardless. People are dying of COVID, but what's worse, virus killing somebody or people killing people? Adler, who's an actor, comedian, and musician, said part of why he didn't at first register that the attack against him was a hate crime was because of how little he's read against crimes against Asians. That's another thing. People like me, it took me to actually go and research the history of Asian Americans, or Orientals as they were called when they were brought here. They were treated super bad, and I can't compare them to the struggles of the African American people because it was nothing compared to that, and I'll never compare that. But just the fact that you can say that America passed a law sometime in, 1950, it was illegal to be Chinese in America. That was a thing, and I might got the dates wrong, and if I got the dates wrong, please let me know down in the comment section below. But I do know that at some point in America, it was illegal to be Chinese in America. Chinese people were getting hated on, and if you want history for yourself, where I got a little bit of my history, like I said, I'm not fully laced up on Asian history, but I do know the little that I know. I learned from a Bruce Lee documentary that I watched, and it's a really good documentary, and it doesn't just focus on Bruce Lee's life. It actually shows the struggle of the Chinese people, not just Chinese people, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese. Because of the times, they were all looked at as enemies. Americans treated them like shit, and I think it's just a going thing, man. Americans just treat other people like shit, even though they ain't from here either. understand that this is a real issue that we all have to deal with, and we need to stop it before it gets bad. You know what I mean? It's already bad. Before it gets any worse. The last thing we need, I don't know about y'all, but I know a lot of Asian gangsters, okay? A lot. I think most of the people I know are Asian gangsters. And that's the last thing y'all want, is for the Asian community, who are so tight. Yeah, they fight amongst each other, but who doesn't? But the groups that are tight are so tight, bring them together, and now you have an anti-American Asian group who's gonna retaliate, and I don't want that. I know, and if you guys don't understand, these Asian gangsters are nobody to play with. Nobody to play with. You see this lady. You see this old lady right here? Let me tell you something before we go into it. Most of you guys probably seen this video, but look how small and feeble she is. Look at her. That motherfucker right there, so dumb. Hold on, let's go back. Let's look at his face real quick and just look at his face and tell me he's not like, oh, I done fucked up. Now, he thought he could run up on her, bap her real quick, and just get. He's in a stretcher with his hands all fucked up. Now imagine a bunch of mad, angry Asian boy gangsters. You guys don't know who you're messing with. This is in San Francisco. Now, I have friends who are like, this is why I told my grandma not to go to San Francisco to get her taxes done and yada yada. It's like, you shouldn't have to feel that way, especially in 2021. We're supposed to be progressive, and we're supposed to be making moves that will better just us in the future, but we take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and it's just ridiculous, man. But let's continue. Security guard was chasing the suspect after he assaulted 83-year-old Asian man. That's a lady, though, I think. Police have not identified the victims, but Xiao Zhenzi spoke to CNN affiliate KPIX. Look at him. That's what you get. She said suspect was fleeing. He punched her without provocation.
As you can see, she is extremely terrified. She's terrified to even step out.
Very scared and traumatized and really hurt, and this eye still free.
Like, what was that white boy thinking? Like, why? Look at her. She doesn't seem like she would hurt anybody. It's just hard to watch and hard to fathom, like running up on your grandma. Like, if someone did that to your grandma. 8 people, Asian Americans already worn down by a year pandemic-fueled racist attacks when white gunman was charged with killing 8 people, most of them Asian women, at 3 Atlanta area massage businesses. Hundreds of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders turned to social media to air their anger, sadness, fear, and hopelessness. The hashtag #StopAsianHate was top trending topic on Twitter hours after the shooting. I think the reason why people are feeling so hopeless is because Asian Americans have been ringing the bell on this issue for so long. We've been raising the red flag, says Aisha Yaqub, sorry if I messed that up, executive director of the Atlanta-based Asian American Advocacy Fund, which does political and advocacy work across Georgia. Violent attacks against Asian Americans persist in the Bay Area. In February, Asian American community leaders in San Francisco Bay Area organized protests after killing of an older Thai man and a spate of attacks in Oakland's Chinatown. Prosecutors, politicians, and police chiefs called the attacks intolerable and vowed to crack down. This week alone in San Francisco, 3 Asian people were attacked on downtown streets, including 75-year-old Chinese grandmother and 83-year-old Vietnamese man. Ngoc Pham, the 83-year-old Vietnamese man, was grocery shopping in one of the busiest parts of San Francisco when he was attacked by a 39-year-old man whom the police identified as Stephen Jenkins. The name couldn't be like any wider. According to the police, the assailant was chased by a security guard while being pursued, punched the 75-year-old woman. Oh, okay, this is about the lady we were just reading about. I might be dead right now. Asian man describes brutal attack on SF Street. A lot of this shit's going on in San Francisco. I get it. There's a lot of Asians in San Francisco, but like, I just want to know why. Like, what is the motive? Why is people so damn racist, man? After a year of mostly staying inside in his Vallejo home to avoid catching the coronavirus, 59-year-old Danilo Yu Chang resolved that he needed to go out more. When his travel agency announced it would begin in-person business at his downtown San Francisco office on Monday, Yu Chang thought, why not? The Filipino-Chinese man was walking on Market Street, headed back to the office from his lunch after picking up shumai at the Chinatown restaurant when somebody shoved him from behind, knocking him to the ground. Yu Chang lost consciousness as the person struck him repeatedly, breaking bones in his face, bruising his eyes until they were almost swollen shut. Like, I don't understand. Talking about this reminds me of something that I heard about this new gang that popped up, and I ain't gonna say the city because I don't want no smoke with nobody trying to find me, but I heard about this gang, right? Their whole stick is, if I see somebody, I'm gonna run up on them and I'm gonna just try and knock them out. That's my whole goal. There's one that takes it a step up. Like, there's one that they knock people out, and then there's another one where all they try to do is rack up their body count. I grew up at a time where when you were in a gang or a hood or a family, it wasn't about that. It was about togetherness and being together, and the reason that y'all was in this hood to begin with was because you had to stay together to protect yourself from the other neighborhoods, not create this gang just so we can go out and shoot people or beat people up just for fun. That's not what it's about. And people got it twisted these days. These kids got it twisted these days, and I hate to say it because there are also like many smart motherfuckers out there, you know, even the gangsters out there. There's a lot of smart ones out there, but there are way too many shitty kids out there. I never thought I would say some shit like that. I just wanted to just bring awareness and let you all know that this is not just a phase, that it's been continually happening since the beginning of coronavirus and even way before that. Asian people have been getting treated shitty for years and years and years and years and years, but it's been swept under the rug. And I'm not trying to make light of, you know, African American struggle, because that is damn near the worst thing that can happen to any people is what happened to the African people. But because that happened here as well in this fucking country, which I love, and I'm not going to say that I hate America. I fucking love this country. I love my freedom. I love what I have. But that freedom comes with a price. This is America. I'm free. Not only can you love who you want, do what you want, but you can also hate who you want. And because you hate somebody, this is what I mean to say. Say, for example, I hate Asian people, but I'm not out there beating people up. But I'm sitting in my room here right now talking to some youngster like, these fucking Asians and these fucking black people and blah, 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 blah. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just the hateful man sitting in my room preaching to these kids who are listening to the music that's put out right now by these guys who say, you know, go catch a body and, you know, it's cool to be a dumbass and stuff like that. So you got to combine, and I'm not hating on the music. I do music video reactions. Y'all know I love music. But you combined hateful motherfuckers like that and kids who are getting, you know, laced up with this hatred, and you got a product of the time. You know what I mean? Because not only now are they listening to XYZ rappers who are spitting about bucking at fools and beating people up because it's cool. You got this dude who's now hating different races because his OG is spitting this game to these guys, and now we create this. And that's just my take. That's how I see that this is happening. I'm a product of the Asian lifestyle, and it hurts me to see my people getting hurt out there for nothing. The fact that it's just like unprovoked and it's toward people who are defenseless, you know what I mean? It's terrible. I seen a video that I liked, and hopefully I can find it, but I'm gonna look for it right now. Hold on. But there's this one specific video of this group of dudes. This Vietnamese store got robbed. I think they're a group of Filipino cats are actually in the store like, yo, I'm gonna let everybody know that we're gonna be here protecting this store from now on. And if you guys come and try to mess with them, you're gonna see us. That's a good thing, right? At first, until it becomes law. And now like every Asian store has to be protected by another Asian clique. That's gonna start looking real bad. So I feel like we need to start making people aware of what's going on in order to stop that. But I'm not saying that it should be stopped, because something needs to happen to protect these people. And if that means putting these Asian gangs outside of these stores in order to protect them, I'm for it. But once it becomes a thing where it's like, okay, well, they're gonna start putting Asian gangs out there, where we're gonna start putting more cops out there, and then it just becomes that, right? And that doesn't stop the drama, that just fuels it, you know what I mean? But I just feel like that's where it's headed. I just know that we all need to pay attention to what's going on, because it's very important, not only for the Asian community, but it's important for just America in general, you know what I mean? You think we're moving in a direction forward, and then we're just holding ourselves back, and it's just not fair to our future generations. You know, I have a kid, and I want her to grow up in a place where the color of her skin doesn't matter, where she can be herself and not have to worry worry, am I being looked at funny because my eyes are a little slanted? It sucks that this type of shit goes on in our lives today still. We have come so far as a country with a combined effort. Where would America be without its diversity? Where would it be without its different cultures? It all comes back down to that. It all comes back down to racism. And Bruce Lee says something in an interview.
Do you think of yourself Chinese, or do you ever think of yourself as North American?
You know what I want to think of myself? As a human being. Because, I mean, I don't want to sound like, as Confucius say, but under the sky, under the heaven, man, there is but one family. It just so happened, man, that people are different.
We're all humans. And we need to start acting like that. It's easy for me to sit here and say that, we need a change for somebody that's always been diverse. It is hard for me to understand racism, to understand what it is like to hate a certain group of people. And there are people who are raised like that. I just don't understand. I'm not trying to make an excuse for racism. I'm just trying to find a way to understand it. Some people are like, oh, it's just the way you were raised, Can hate be something that's just instilled in you? Can it be installed? Can it be uninstalled? I mean, so there's a guy out there named Daryl Davis who started going to KKK rallies. Now, mind you, this is a black dude, and he's going to KKK rallies, and he's turning KKK members.
How can you hate me when you don't even know me? Look at me and tell me to my face why you would lynch me. I never set out to convert anybody.
Hey, Frank, how you doing, man?
In my quest, some of them ended up converting themselves.
I consider Frank to be my friend.
What does he understand about racism that we don't? What does he do to bring the hate out of somebody? And I think that we should all take a page out of this dude, Daryl Davis's book, and apply that to our situation at hand. Bring him on as kind of like a advocate and make him important and put him out there. I mean, maybe his specialty is the KKK, but who knows, man? We could take his mentality and apply it to just everyday life. I wanted to make this video to bring light to a situation that's very scary. We need to come together as a community, make sure that we come up with a solution that helps everybody and not bury somebody in order to help one person, because that's what we're good at. Is we kind of, instead of helping people, we'll kind of just sweep dirt over some shit and hope that it's covered up enough to make people forget about it. But this is something that I don't want people to forget. I want people to remember that this is happening in our time right now. And I have a daughter who resembles Asian American people because she's Filipino. And if anybody puts a hand on my daughter or any of my family members, it's gonna be a whole different video by Kino. Anyways, with that being said, stop the hate. Hate is a virus. Thank you for watching this video. We hope to catch you on the next one. Peace.